Need a break from a real world? Well, tune into 5 Minute Story, your haven for quick, hilarious adventures. Once upon a time, in a charming village nestled among rolling hills, there was a playful fox named Rusty. Rusty was known far and wide for his adventurous spirit and mischievous nature. With his sleek red fur and bright, curious eyes, he was a familiar sight to all who lived in the village. One sunny morning, Rusty awoke with a twinkle in his eye and a rumble in his stomach. As he set out on his daily stroll through the village, he couldn't help but notice the tantalizing aroma wafting through the air. Following his nose, Rusty soon found himself standing before a patch of ripe, juicy melons near the edge of the village. The sight of the plump fruits made Rusty's mouth water, and he couldn't resist the temptation to indulge in a little snack. With a mischievous grin, he plucked a melon from the vine and eagerly sank his teeth into its sweet flesh. Just as Rusty was savoring the delicious taste of the stolen fruit, he heard a voice behind him. "Who's been eating my melons?" the voice exclaimed, tinged with both surprise and annoyance. Startled, Rusty whipped around to see Mrs. Jenkins, the owner of the melon patch, standing with her hands on her hips, her eyes narrowed in suspicion. Mrs. Jenkins raised an eyebrow, clearly skeptical of Rusty's tale. "Really?" she replied, her tone laced with doubt. "Caught red-handed?" Rusty's mind raced as he scrambled to come up with a plausible excuse. "It wasn't me, Mrs. Jenkins," he protested, his voice tinged with innocence. "It was some mischievous kids from the neighboring village. They tossed the melon at me, and I just happened to catch it in my mouth." Thinking quickly, Rusty nodded eagerly. "Absolutely. Those kids are always causing trouble," he insisted. "But don't worry, Mrs. Jenkins. I'll help you track them down and make sure they learn their lesson." Despite her initial skepticism, Mrs. Jenkins couldn't help but chuckle at Rusty's quick thinking. Instead of scolding him, she decided to share the rest of the melons with Rusty, impressed by his resourcefulness. As they sat together enjoying the juicy melons, Rusty couldn't help but feel a pang of guilt gnawing at his conscience. Deep down, he knew that he hadn't been entirely truthful with Mrs. Jenkins. But, as the warm sunshine bathed them in its golden glow, Rusty made a silent vow to always strive to be more honest in the future. And so, Rusty and Mrs. Jenkins whiled away the hours in each other's company, laughing and chatting as they enjoyed their impromptu picnic in the shade of the melon patch. As the sun began to dip below the horizon, casting long shadows across the village, Rusty couldn't help but feel a sense of contentment wash over him. Despite the little white lie he had told, he knew that he had learned an important lesson about the value of honesty and integrity. And as he bid Mrs. Jenkins farewell and made his way back home, Rusty couldn't help but feel a newfound sense of determination to always keep it real, no matter what adventures lay ahead. As Rusty the Fox reflects on his day of adventure and newfound wisdom, he invites you to join him in embracing the value of honesty and integrity in your own life. So, let Rusty's tale serve as a reminder to always strive for honesty in your words and actions, even when faced with temptation or mischief. Just as Rusty learned from his mischievous escapade in the melon patch, each of us has the opportunity to make choices that reflect our commitment to truthfulness and authenticity. Whether it's admitting to a mistake or standing up for what's right, every act of honesty contributes to a more genuine and trustworthy world. Join Rusty on his journey towards greater honesty and integrity, and together, let's make a positive difference in the world, one truthful step at a time. Don't forget to subscribe for more heartwarming tales, right here on 5 Minute Story. Thank you for listening. This was your 5 Minute Story. Until next time.